The Utes are out on the grid at the moment, and we've sent Noons out there to find out what's the latest goss from down on the grid.
Well, Chad, the man on pole position, Ryle Harris, is the reigning champion. It has been a long, tough season. It's taken a while for you to get here.
It has been, mate. We've had 3 DNFs this year, unfortunately, but, you know, I've got a good car under me now, Matt Stone. They've done a great job. All-purpose pest control. They've put their money where their mouth is, and you know, the car's a rocket. So hopefully we can get off the line on this one and get a round win and just press on. The championship's a long shot, but we're not going to give up to the last round, that's for sure.
All right, we'll see how he goes, guys. There he is, Ryle Harris to start from pole. We're going to see him in the Dunlop Series at Bathurst in a couple of weeks' time to make his debut. Let's jump in here with Chris Walton, who is the points leader and the former Rookie of the Year. Hey, Keller, that hand of yours, you injured it in a go-kart crash a while ago. Is it going okay this weekend?
Yeah, mate, it hasn't caused any dramas this weekend, so, yeah, so far so good.
Keep an eye on this bloke across from you on the front row of the grid. He's not really racing for this championship. You are.
No, that's right, so I'm happy for him to be there. I mean, yeah, and I'm on the front row here as well, so we're gaining heaps of points on second, so the more points we can get out of this race, the better off we are.
Good luck.
Thanks, mate, appreciate it.
And it's all forward, it's all blue off the front road with Ryle Harris and Chris Walton leading our championship charge. Jason Bargwanna joining me in commentary. Elliot Barber claiming his first race win in the series early today in the reverse grid race.
And that was a cracker as well. It's good to see Elliot Barber hang on for that one, but it was going on right through the field. There was a safety car in the middle of it, and the real battle in that one was Chris Walton and David Cedars. It was an epic battle, but now that's put him in the position where we've got Harris and Walton on the front row again.
Jeremy Gray did such a good job in that last race. He nearly held on for a win here at Sandown this weekend. And we're waiting for the wave of the green flag. It's the final race of the weekend. The Australian V8 Ute Series. It's all fueled by Hog's Breath Cafe. The calm before the storm. They've been holding back, I think, all weekend, Bugs, but this is it. No more to leave on the table as the red light comes on. Off it goes. And it's a good start for Ryle Harris, and Jesse Dixon's quick to move as well. Walton was slow and he could lose one spot, definitely, maybe 2 as well, because Barber's on the inside. Exhaust and down into the first corner, and oh no, McLeod nearly gets turned around by Jeremy Gray. The dust gets kicked up. It's the stuff that we can expect to see from the Utes, and down towards turn 2 we go, and a good bit of driving as we go 3 wide. Someone's going to go bounding off the grass this time, and that looked like it was Mediki, but somehow they're all pointing in the right direction, albeit with a slightly bent front end for the Kubota orange Ute of Phil Woodbury, but so far so good through 3 or 4 corners.
Goodness gracious, you've got to take a breath in the middle of that, don't you? There was cars going everywhere, but it was Chris Walton sleeping at the start. But they're still 2-3 wide going up the back straight. These guys are not giving in at all. 2 wide over the top of the hill makes me very nervous.
There was a fair bit to sort out there, wasn't it? But it's Ryle Harris at the point right now. Jesse Dixon's done a good job to assert himself into second. Walton dropping back to 4th, and somehow they all sorted out across the hill. Here comes McNally, has a bit of a look, and there's a little bit of bumper rubbing going on, and that's big damage to Woodbury. Oh dear, the Queenslander, the fairly snotty nose, and I think we'll be seeing him back into the pits at the end of the first lap. There's also smoke coming off the back of Adam Mardrum's car. There's battle on for position with Matty Nolan up the inside as well. There's bumpers flying everywhere, there's mirrors flying everywhere, but we do complete the first lap, and there's a good fight going on with Walton down the front straight. Looked like Nathan Prittick's going to go side by side. These two were at it all of it this whole weekend 12 months ago. It was the dummy incident where Walton strapped on a dummy to the front of his car to say that he thought that Pritty was spinning it all weekend, and they're going to go banging the doors, and these two, no love lost between the 2 of them. They sorted out with time. They get to turn 2.
It was good driving by the boat from there. Pritty was well up the inside, but Chris Walton's given enough room, and he's managed to hold on to the position. You can see these battles are still going on through the field, but this is all start for Chris Walton off the start. He was caught sleeping there, and he's just dropping back through the field.
Hawkeye on board with Craig Dontis in the thirsty Camel Door, as we call it. He's riding behind the Wake Up I Seek Utes, which is Warren Millett owned, but driven by George Medicki this weekend. And Gorgeous George, or Slick as we call him, actually left his iPhone on the front of the windscreen, taking it out for that last race. Went flying off in the warm-up lap. He now has one very second-hand looking smashed up iPhone. And that is a man who takes his Instagram life way too seriously.
He wasn't texting while he was driving, was he? Look at that, we got lock brakes down the inside. I'll tell you, they were calm yesterday. They are pushing hard, particularly on these cold tyres here this morning. You can see McLeod there, and there's Cedars with damage to the back of his car. So he's got to get through this race and collect as many points as he can.
Yeah, that championship gap is just stretching out a little bit too far for David Cedars. He welcomed in a 3rd child this week. He's now got 2 sons and a girl as well. He's going to call it quits just there. I won't go into details as to how you go doing that. 3 laps is what we're working through right now, and the all-purpose car just starting to build up that lead right now as he goes 1:22.64 on this lap. Old tyres starting to come to the fore as well. Riding Barber, winner of the race 2 reverse grid race today, and he's got Chris Walton all up on that tailgate.
Oh, Chris is going to have a look up the inside, under the back straight. Oh, this is going to be close. A little bit of rubbing. And looks like he's going to get the run onto the back straight. So, and there's Nathan Preddy sitting right in behind there, waiting to inherit something here. You can just feel the nervousness. You can feel there's something going on.
Nathan Preddy's got his kids here watching on today. He'll be off to Vietnam later in the week to do some driver training. In Hong Kong recently. Here he is at home in Melbourne. Looks these days in country Victoria. Behind a Queenslander in Walton in the Renko ute. Fighting along with another Melbourne boy in Elliot Barber. Oh, Barb's locks up that left rear. Left front, and that was the result. It was always going to cost him a spot there.
Just coming down a little bit deep. You can see him come off the top of the hill. The car was a little bit misfooted, and he found himself under a little bit too much pressure under braking. So that's given Chris Walton the free one. Chris Walton now up to 3rd position. It'll be Elliot Barber under pressure from Nathan Preddy, who has got a very fast car at the moment.
Speaking of families, Elliot Barber has his uncle Marshall Brewer here from the Thunderdome Star watching on and helping on the tools, and Walton was just so slow to jump on the Yokohama replay that start.
So Dixon got a great start up the inside. You can see Barber's taken advantage of that as well. Chris Walton smart. He just pulled out of the way a little, and there's the contact through the field.
And Cedars was forced off and all at it, though. Went 4 wide at the approach of turn 2. This is the Jesus Racing ute riding on board, and just hitting the rev limiter in first gear was Andrew Fisher, and that gave McLeod a bit of a jump on the outside. With Ryko on this week as well as Sinopec, and he's going to get a bit of a tap from the IXL ute. No one's fault, really. They're all just trying to squeeze in.
3 wide, a little bit of rubbing and bashing and crashing, but look at this, 4 wide. Going down to turn 2, they're still at it.
Yeah, this is where Miedeke got sent off to the left. There goes Slick. Managed to bring that on quite nicely. Avoids contact at 4. Riding aboard now with Jeremy Gray in the IXL Super Fluoro ute. And it was his right front that really got fairly busy. But he was 3 wide at the approach down there to turn 1 with Mardrum and the Auto 1 ute up the side. Saw some very dodgy air guitar work from him this week. Standing on the bonnet of the Auto 1 ute. That's one way to make a few spots up. Went barreling through turn 1. Amazing that we ended up getting through those few corners without anyone facing the wrong way. As Miedeke somehow managed to go Dukes of Hazzard style over the grass. Here's the Just Car Insurance ute of Elliot Barber. He's been doing a bit of work with the Just Car Insurance drift team lately. We see a fair bit of drifting going on in the utes with the lack of weight on the rear end of these cars. Wow. Royal Harris, we know that he likes driving on the older tyres in race 3, and he's really starting to stretch that lead out now from Jesse Dixon. Last time by, he was a 10th of a second quicker.
Yeah, that's right, Royal Harris. He's got that car working really well. You can see it's nice and clean and straight. He's keeping the car under control and braking, and it's just edging away slightly. He's now got that gap of 1.5 seconds over Jesse Dixon, but it's Chris Walton that's pushing. He's trying to now he's cleared Elliot Barber. He's trying to reclaim that gap, so to put him back up in the front there. But Nathan Preddy is now all over the back of Elliot Barber as well, so it's a good little battle going right through the top 10 here at the moment.
Wander on board with Jeremy Gray. Fast part of the racetrack this. You climb a very slight rise. We go over the top gear about this point, but you want to plug it back down 1 and take the left and use the curbs nicely through here.
It's an exciting part of the circuit. You sort of put a bit of brake pressure on. You just slow the car down, let the car use the tyre across the top of the hill. But it's all about getting it balanced for this braking zone. This is where we saw Elliot Barber make that mistake. It's all about carrying speed across the top, get it balanced, get the car rotated down Daniel Road. It's a nice, clean run onto the straight is what's really important here. Both the long straights, and that's what you're working really hard in your setup. Get the good exit onto the straights where it's all about straight line speed.
Andrew Fisher was very busy after the last round of the championship. We had a long, nearly 2-month period off, but he went and did some TCM racing at the last round for those guys when we were running around Sydney. And he's currently circulating around Fisher inside the top 10, trying to make good his championship charge. We're going to go up to a short ad break. Stay with us, though. Royal Harris is at the front of the field. It's the Utes here in Sandown. The grandstand on the front straight at Sandown starting to fill up ahead of the Wilson Security Sandown 500. Fantastic weather here in Melbourne. Springtime has definitely sprung. It's a spring carnival of a different kind today at Sandown. And sitting alongside Jason Bargwana with the V8 Ute Series out on track. It's all thanks and fueled by our friends at Hog's Breath Cafe. They've been busy. There goes Matty Nolan getting turned around at the approach down towards turn 1 and getting his hands full with Scott Nicholas, who's had a busy weekend also in his first round with our Utes, and he was caught backwards in the gravel trap yesterday, and just holding on to it there was Nolan. He's also been a busy boy with a fairly large crash in practice.
So yeah, these 2 guys have managed to find themselves in a whole world of pain this weekend, and looks like both of them are going to be able to continue. A bit of contact, bit of rubbings racing, but that crowd is amazing. It's a beautiful day here at Sandown. The queues on the Dandenong Road this morning, Dandenong Highway, trying to get in was unbelievable. So it's good to see all the fans out here to see the racing and the action.
It bodes well for a big afternoon when the V8 supercars will take the stage later. 161 laps, coincidentally the exact amount that will run at Bathurst. This is a battle going on further back in the pack as Jane runs very wide at turn 1, and up the inside goes the Stratco ute of McNally. And looks like Hansford's going to try and pick up a spot. Great driving this from Hansford so far. He started 28th position, I think it was. He's already made his way up to 14th, so he's flying through the field. And Jane not done with this just yet. Those tyres look very old right now for Kim Jane. First race a car here when he was 17 years old, and E.H. Holden, fantastic story. He's also racing a Falcon Coupe this week in the Touring Car Masters and doing his thing in the utes like always.
So these battles are continuing. I mean, Nathan Pretty's been putting a lot of pressure on Elliot Barber there, who's hanging on quite well. Chris Walton's been closing in on Jesse Dixon a little bit and bringing that gap down, but it's Royal Harris out in front that's been getting away with it. David Cedars, he's been just trying to recover. He's just trying to get some points. A bit of damage to the car. He's been in a good battle with Fisher, but it's coming down these last couple of laps. The tyres, they're a bit second-hand. They're a bit old. They're a bit had it, and particularly here around Sandown. The amount of locking up, the flat spots, these guys are doing a great job just to hang on to what they got at the moment.
So that championship lead, importantly, will be stretched out, but the next few rounds can be telling, and we know that anything can happen at Bathurst, and especially when we get onto the streets of the Gold Coast. That'll be their penultimate round before we wind it all up at the Sydney 500 and the streets of Homebush. We now into the second half of their season. This is a good little battle starting to form here. Nathan Pretty starting to put the pressure on our Rookie of the Year from last year, now in the Just Car Insurance ute. Elliot Barber can now call himself a race winner within the V8 Ute Series, all fueled by Hog's Breath Cafe, celebrating 25 years of eating steaks and frying up steaks across the country. They're a good fit with the V8 Utes, I think.
So Nathan Pretty in the GoPro holder, and he's been putting that little bit of pressure on. Oh, Barry.
Oh, dear. That's a bad spot to sit for Sam Barry.
Well, it's 3 races we've seen him backwards off the track, so he's at least consistent this weekend.
The New Zealander's been very busy. He had a big moment with Danny Brzadzik in the reverse grid race. And have a look at the amount of Band-Aids they've stuck on that thing throughout the course of the weekend. Let's see how it all happened. All on his lonesome. Flicks the dandelions and the weeds at turn 3. Big old lose that one. And, into the tyres as well, just to make sure that every single corner on that ute's had a bit of a touch.
I was just going to say, he's at the left front, the right front, the left rear. I think the right rear is about the only thing that's straight at the moment.
Don't worry, there's still a good lap to go yet, so we'll see if we can do something about that. Sam Barry, and good to see a couple of Kiwis making their way over here. And it's an Australian that leads the Kiwi charge over there as well, with Chris Walton leading both the Ute Series, just like we've seen Chris Pither do, who's racing later in the V8 Supercars. The only man to date to have won both the Australian and New Zealand Series. This is the leaders. Harris still leading right now, 1.8 seconds back to Jesse Dixon, who was runner-up in last year's Rookie of the Series, Rookie of the Year honours. It's Chris Walton with a lot of room, but this battle for fourth is heating up, and Marjoram now doing a good job to peg them back too.
Oh, there's a little bit of contact. So McNally was actually holding back a little bit there in the first few laps. These last few laps, his car's actually coming on quite strong. So he's got past Ryan Hansford. He's now put pressure on Kim Jane. He's got past him, and now he's all over the back of Dontas. And this is a battle for 12th place. So you can see they fight quite hard for all the positions here in the Ute field. They enjoy their racing. They have a red-hot go. But McNally there now looking for a way past Dontas.
South Aussie and the West Aussie going at it through turn 6. Old tyres. McNally will have the better tyres here because he actually didn't run in the second race. So, pitching a break. That's not going to help the tyres.
They both run wide now. Ryan Hansford, he's going to try and find a way through. So he's going to put himself on the outside, and McNally's going to be boxed in here. So, putting pressure on, sometimes you make those little mistakes.
Oh, the perfect
spot. And it costs you the spot.
To watch this battle unfold, and McNally's smart. He falls back in. Poor Dontas wouldn't have known which mirror to be looking in at the approach of turn 11 then, and somehow he holds on to that position after pitching that left front down at Dandenong Road. Last lap of the race for Royal Harris, who's your race leader, and let's watch all this unfold once again. This is when he went over at turn 2. Bang! I know Rally Australia's on this weekend, but that's a little bit crazy, trying to get a bit of hang time. Can we get all 4 wheels off the ground? Here we go. Oh, I'll call that.
It's close enough. It's close enough.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Front bar digs in. But, that battle's continued on. So it's always difficult, that part of the circuit. You never know who's quite in front. But in that case, I think Dontas got away with it. Shortcut the circuit, but was probably a toll too with the contact there. But it's Royal Harris. Look at that. That car, nice, clean, straight. and driving really well. Doing a great job.
West End Mazda, part of this partnership now with Matt Stone Racing as well, and All-Purpose Pest Control, which have been there for the majority of this season as well. And he's going to be launching his own clothing brand, Ryle Harris, at the end of this week online, Agenda Clothing. He does things slightly differently to the other guys. He'll be driving at Bathurst in the Dunlop Series, but he'll take 2 wins from this weekend. He'll win the round comfortably, and Ryle Harris is back in form after winning the last 2 championships. That move to Matt Stone Racing paying dividends. The guys fighting over 4th position. Barber, Pretty, Marjoram. Good racing between those guys. A race win going the way of Elliot Barber. You can hear this big crowd at Sandown appreciating the fantastic racing from the Utes, fueled by Hog's Breath Cafe. Ryle Harris is your race winner and event winner. Jesse Dixon made it the most of that fantastic start to finish up into 2nd position. Andrew Fisher rounds out the top 10. The Utes have put on a fantastic show today. Looking forward to seeing them back at the next round of the championship.